Hello, everyone. It's me, Kirsten, and this is the It's Giving Mystical podcast. And this is your podcast for the week ahead, the week of March 13th, Friday the 13th. Didn't we just have a Friday the 13th? What's with that? Oh my God, life. So, anyways, Friday the 13th, the week of Friday the 13th, the week of March 13th, the 13th through the 20th. Oh, March, you're going by so fast. Where are we? So we're in this Empress death moment, and I hope that you had a chance to listen to the monthly podcast. I hope that that was helpful. I just really am struck by this sense of the king is dead, long live the queen. I really keep thinking about that so much. And it has obviously, like all things, right? So many meanings, so many layers to it. I love words, I love language. But there's something interesting about what we've held as important, what we've held as the law, what we've held as the pinnacle, and how that falls away to make room for something equally powerful, equally impressive, equally sovereign, but much more beautiful, much warmer, much, yeah, just more feminine, softer, like has some of the beauty and the art and the style added to the power and the trustability and the management of time and space, management of the kingdom. So I just really love it. And I love the way that death, I mean, you guys, I'm going to tell you a secret. I love tarot, but I do. It never fails to amaze me. And I feel the same way about shamanism. Like when I close my eyes and I spend time engaging with the energy of the archetypes, the shamanic archetypes, when I feel into the earth, when I feel into my animal and spirit guides, when I feel into tarot, every time I'm met, like every time I am met, and I am met with possibility and humor and joy and love, and I just, this is where I sound totally ridiculous, but I am so in love with this life. And tarot this month really surprised me with that death in the Empress because the death took on such a soft quality, such a human quality of, dude, I know it's been hard. Like, I know that you have undergone transformations that are so deep, so unseen, and so fundamental that you can't even really see yourself anymore. There's something about the level of transition, transformation that you've undergone. And again, like 5 years, 2 years, 8 months, those are all the dates that are holding on for me. The transformation you've undergone is so deep that you can't know it. Because think about it, like you're operating with your operating system. So you look in the mirror, you see what you see, you have a story that you carry around with you, even though we're going to work on that with our velocity. You have a sense of the world that comes through to you via this projection, via this screen, via the medium of your personality, life, your physiology, your physicality, the moment, yada, yada, yada. And that's just all you know. And I've said this before when I talk about the Akashic Records. The reason the Akashic Records are such a gift is because it helped me personally, but I think everyone, see that my soul's journey is not your soul's journey. And we're here to experience and understand different things about the earth, about each other, about our soul. And there's this humility that comes into play, like, oh, I don't really know. I only know what I know. And that's here with the way the death stepped in was like, girl, guy, like you have changed in ways that you can't quite articulate or even perceive, because what's happened is the lens has changed. The filter, the medium with which you are viewing the world has shifted in such subtle but deep ways that it's like, well, this is just what is, and it's hard for you to see how it's different. And I always say this in circle, but that's one of the beautiful things about circling. Men, women, co-ed circles, it doesn't matter. Tracking with a group of people over time, having friendships, having relationships, having people who practice with you and engage in like spiritual study or whatever your vibe is, that engage with you in self-actualization work together. Because how many times, I mean, the women in my women's circle or in Moon Circle can tell you this, how many times a woman's come in 3 years later and been like, I'm struggling with this and this is how I feel. And she can't recognize that she was struggling with that same thing 3 years ago, but from a completely different vantage point. And it takes the reflection in the space to say, girl, I see you. And you might feel like you're in the same place, but you are not. You are not the same woman who had that same struggle 3 years ago. You are very different. And so there's something really interesting about death kind of saying to us, you can't quite see how deep the deaths have been, like how deep the work has been. But something about March shows you. Something about the work has created, tended, nourished a soil that the Empress is working with right now to create something. And I was so touched by it. I was so touched by the message. And we'll see, what that looks like in the world. We'll see what that looks like in our individual lives. But there's something so loving about this idea that death is like, I get you. I see that it's been hard. And I also really trust who you've become. And I'm excited for you to experience who you've become in this new garden, with this new experience, with this new presentation. And that's where the energy of Tada was really coming through. So I hope that that's something that you can work with this month. I hope that you feel blessed by both death and the Empress this month. And I hope you have a sense of just self-recognition in some way, looking and being like, oh yeah, I am different now, and I appreciate the work I've done in a way that maybe I wasn't able to appreciate it until now. It's really, really beautiful. It's just very loving, makes it worthwhile. Like, oh yeah, life is on my team. Life is on my side. Even the most difficult moments, there's some reason why. There's some growth happening. And we started the Empress Awakening and Mystic Rising, and we're just talking about the Empress as the energy of my life, my body as a sacred garden. And if any of you garden, if you've ever even planted some tomato plants outside, right? The joy you get from every step of the process. So you get the garden ready, you plant the seeds, you put in the baby plants, like whatever your vibe is. And when you go out there and things aren't changing, you're not like, well, this is a waste of time. You think to yourself, okay, does it need a little water? Does it need a little more warmth? Should I cover it when it gets cold? Should I sing to it? What should happen here for me to give it what it needs? And maybe all it needs is time. Maybe that's all it needs. If you could attend to yourself with a quarter of the generosity and patience with which you would tend to a garden, which with you would tend to, a plant in your house, or walk by a house plant and just felt how thirsty it was. And I was saying this on the call yesterday, but like you do that, and I like literally walk by my house plants and I'll be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. But I will go all morning without a drink of water. So it's like, okay, all right, girl, can you give that same just benign attention, benign acceptance to yourself? The card I pulled for us this week is the Five of Wands, and we've talked about this card before. The Five of Wands, wands are fire energy. The Five of Wands is the card of healthy competition. So the Five of Swords is the card of deception, victimhood, cruelty, and the Five of Wands is its sister card, but it's like a good, clean game, good, clean competition. And there was something about the energy that says something's clearing up. Some conflict or competition that maybe felt really serious. Maybe it felt more, oh my God, fireworks. Maybe it felt more Five of Swords. And maybe you were kind of feeling like, am I being tricked? Am I seeing this correctly? Am I the victim here? Should I opt out? Is this not a field I want to play on? All of that kind of energy. It might have felt like Five of Swords. And the Five of Wands came in, also reversed. I guess we're just having a year of reversals. Reversed, and it was like, it's over. It was never that serious. It was never something to worry about. There was never a challenge to you that wasn't just a good, healthy, growth-oriented team sport challenge. The Five of Wands, one of my favorite writers, she said it's like the card of the NBA or the card of professional sports. So we can get on the field and it can be like life or death. So serious. It can feel so serious. And then we get off the field and we high five and go have burgers together. So that's the energy of the Five of Wands. Like, it's not so serious. We're made to have a little fight, a little energy, a little challenge in our system. If it all came too easily, we might not enjoy it as much. And so the Five of Wands is just reminding you that healthy competition is a good thing. In David Data's work, he always says that the masculine in all of us, so the part of us that's connected to nothingness, consciousness, stillness, spaciousness, it grows through competition. So if you consider yourself a more masculine being, you'll notice that there's something about the idea of movement forward or up that feels challenging and invigorating to you. And even those of us that feel more feminine in our systems, there's a part, our masculine, so our masculine dimensions, our masculine containership is actually improved, made sharp by competition. So this competition, whatever has felt like that, whatever's felt like conflict, competition, and again, maybe it's felt much more serious than that. This week, there's a sense of A, it was never that serious, so chill out. And B, how have you grown from it? Because it's over now. Whatever the challenge was, the way I feel it is like almost just like collapses. The challenge almost collapses. And something that felt like I can't quite figure this out has come to a rest. There's something very freeing about it. The image that comes to mind is when you're trying to do something and you're going upwind, like you're pushing into the wind and it's a fierce wind, and all of a sudden the wind stops or the wind pauses, and all of a sudden something that you were working so hard at is just easier. There's just less friction, less challenge, and you find it quite a relief, but also like a relief, like a physical relief, but also a sense of, I almost laugh, like, oh, I thought that was a bigger challenge than it actually was. And I'm actually glad that it took. There's something about, I'm glad there was some friction or resistance. I see that as a blessing now versus something that I, at the time, probably wished away. I hope this is making sense. Wherever this is showing up in your life, it's just going to feel easier this week. And that ease, that physical, energetic smoothing out is going to just two things. One, make you feel freer, make you feel more, just kind of refill your energy tanks. You're going to have more energy again for whatever this thing is. You're going to feel this flow to it that maybe previously you've been hitting a wall. And maybe this has to do with Jupiter going direct, but there's something like, this has been hard, and for some of us it's been much harder. For some of us it's just been kind of like frustrating hard. There's been a competitive aspect to it that has force you to expand, to become, again, in the masculine work, they say hone you. It's made you sharper. Something about that's happened. And then all of that competition kind of collapses and you're left with a clear pathway. And then, so then you realize you never needed to take it that seriously. The pathway was always going to clear anyway, but now you're a sharper blade. And it wasn't as serious as you thought it was. And it's just easier. Moving is easier. Moving through the world is easier now. And so, again, the pathway is going to open up for you. It feels like it has something to do with something you've been manifesting. So it feels like you've wanted something, you've had your eye on something, and you couldn't quite get the angle, couldn't quite make the progress you wanted to make. And that progress becomes just much easier this week. The road just smooths out. So that's what I have for you. 5, change, creativity, playfulness, recognizing that we need a little challenge. We need things to feel a little bit more, what do you say? Anything worth fighting for is worth having, or anything worth having is worth fighting for. Yeah, that. That's the phrase of the week. So maybe you're just going to realize that this was harder to attain or harder to arrive at than you wanted it to be, but it was 100% worth the challenge because it feels good. You feel this kind of sharp pride in a good way. And they came up with the death card too. There's just a lot of pride, but like nice pride, like, man, I did it. Just this kind of satisfaction of good on me. Look what I did. Look what I did. It feels really nice. And you deserve it. You deserve to feel your life as something that you're willing to fight for, that you do fight for, and that you get to reap the rewards of those efforts. All right, cool. Sending you so much love. Happy Friday the 13th. I hope something spooky but exciting happens. Bye.